Hello and welcome to the Life of a Showgirl podcast. Just kidding. It's the Filmi Ladies podcast, and we are Beth and Pithu, and we are definitely not showgirls, even though we wish we were. On this episode, though, we are going to talk about one of our favorite showgirls of all time, the one and only amazing, magnificent, flamboyant, gorgeous diva, one Ms. Helen. This episode has been a long time coming. I know we talk about Helen on and off a lot on this podcast because we both love her. And I know we had done like a Cabaret Queens episode that our friend Lancharoni had guested on, but we hadn't done like an actual like Helen episode. And obviously that wrong needed to be righted.
Also, that was 3 years ago. So
that's when our podcast was in its infancy.
Right.
Now our podcast goes to kindergarten and stuff.
Our podcast is a toddler.
So obviously you love Helen. I love Helen. We all scream for Helen. What is not to love about this like amazing woman? I have just been like drowning in Helen stuff for the last 2 days, and it has been wonderful. I have my boa ready to record. What was your first like time that you saw Helen on screen, and how bewitched were you?
I would have to go look. I don't remember, but I mean, there must have been a first time, and surely I was delighted and stunned and awed. But also, she's always been there. You know what I mean? It's very hard to separate her out. I'm afraid to suggest that perhaps my first Helen film was Mohabbatein.
Oh gosh.
It doesn't really count because it took me a little bit to get into 70s and 60s films or even 50s films. I mean, Sholay was fairly soon in my watching. So,
okay.
But yeah, she's another sine qua non, right? Like you cannot talk about mainstream Hindi cinema without Helen. And not just item girls, but her specifically, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like she is like the queen of all of them.
Absolutely.
Right. And then okay, so you came to her via Mohabbatein. I'm shocked that you decided to stick with Bollywood.
I'm not sure that well. Yeah, I'm actually looking at my spreadsheet right now to see what was my first Helen film. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was, but I have seen 74 of her films, so that's exciting.
Nice.
I think Sholay was my third of hers, so
okay,
that's good.
I think she did something like 1,000 films, if I'm not mistaken. That's what she said on the Invincibles interview show, whatever, that Arbaz Khan hosts, because he asked her if she'd done like 500 or 600 films, and she was like, no, actually I've been a part of it like 1,000. And I was like, oh my God. For me, I don't even remember when I first encountered Helen, because I grew up in like a Hindi film watching household, and because of my parents' generation, the movies that they tended to watch, and because my dad's favorite actor was Shami Kapoor, they tended to watch a lot of like, the 70s movies like Tisri Manzil and things like that. And so I've kind of just like, I feel like I've known her my whole life. Like I've grown up seeing like Hasina Zulfawali and things like that, and I saw Prince super early again because Shami Kapoor. So I think we had the VHS, the cassette of Prince, because also it had Vaijanti Mala too, like What's Not to Love. So I don't actually remember a time when I came to Helen. I think Helen was just like omnipresent, like God. Like Helen was just there.
I had long said, I mean, as an atheist, but I still need sometimes sort of metaphorically, you need something. So I say, thank Helen. Or, involved, please take pity,
Lady Helen. Yeah. Our Lady of Helen. Our Lady of Feather Boas in sequence. That is the church we worship at.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I think like even as like a youngster, I loved all of the Bollywood dances, right? I mean, if you're a kid, you're going to be transfixed by all of that manic energy. But with her, especially, I think she was so attractive to like little kids because her costumes were so fun.
Yeah.
There was always feather boas. There was always ostrich feathers in her hair. There was all the sparkle and the sequin and the fun makeup that she did. She would often have like little like beads or pearls or whatever on her skin. And then all the dances that she did were so much fun. Like there was nothing angsty and sad. It was just her on like a stage putting on like a fabulous performance. And it was always these like cool looking clubs, right? Like the men would be like smoking cigars or something. There would always be like some heroine, like Asha Parekh or someone, and she would just be in her bouffant. She would just be watching Helen, and Helen would just be like fabulous. And I think, funnily enough, one of Madhuri Dixit's very like one of the stories she's told multiple times in interviews is that when she was very little, because she was a very good dancer and she was like a Kathak dancer, her parents' friends, like when people come to your house and they're like, do a dance for auntie and uncle, they want to see what you do. She used to dance on Pia Tu Ab To Aaja. And people would be like, okay, that's a choice, that's a choice. So I feel like Helen is a part of everybody's childhood. And here's the crazy thing, I know that she in today's terms would be called an item girl, and in those terms she was called a vamp. I have never heard anyone utter a single negative word
Oh, no,
against her,
never.
which is shocking to me, given that people will tear apart some of the greatest icons. I mean, I am notoriously an Amitabh Bachchan hater. And like, I don't think there's anyone else I can think of apart from Helen where nobody has a bad word to say. Nobody says we don't like her. And that to me is like an amazing achievement, especially considering that she was not a heroine. So
Right.
why do you think that is? Because that boggles my mind.
Uh, Before I answer, I want to say that I was looking to see if I could get the short documentary about her that is sometimes on Merchant and Ivory DVDs. None of mine had it that I could find, so I have seen that, but it's been a long time,
Mm,
and I don't own Jerry Pinto's book about her, which I
I
don't know
don't
how I
either.
don't own that, but um, so my everything I'm about to say is sort of like very basic Wikipedia reading, and then what I have gleaned over the years. I It's like hating a firefly. Like, how can you hate? No, I don't know the details of her, now that she's married to Salim Khan. Like, I don't know how the whole marriage and whatever worked there, which would be the only thing I can think of as really being an issue with her. Because if you object to her being scantily clad or dancing
Mm,
suggestively or tempting heroes or any of that, you probably have much bigger issues with movies as a whole. And it's probably not, I mean, sometimes women take the brunt of things that are actually a bigger issue, right? But I just feel
mm.
like, and if you're going to hate item girls, you're going to pick one of the more lewd one, like you're going to hate Bindu
Yeah.
instead of Helen. You know what I mean? Because while she does dance suggestively, whatever we want that to mean, and she is there for titillation among other purposes, depending on the film, um, she's not the most in that direction. She might be the most in a particular film, but like if you are going to hate that type, I think you're not even going to go for her.
Mm,
And there's probably something about how while I do think you can't talk about Bollywood without her, and I do think you can't talk about the films without the concept of the item girl or the vamp, which are not always the same, of course. Um, yeah, you've just got bigger issues that it's kind of small fry compared to some of the
yeah.
things you might object to. But that's off the top of my head. What do you think?
That's true. No, you're right. I mean, I feel like first of all, the people that would object to Helen or Bindu or Kalpana Iyer or any of those, I think those people would probably be prudes to begin with, and they're probably not really enjoying Bollywood films. And I don't think that I would even be encountering those people, right? Because
Right.
they probably just in general think that Bollywood films are like just like this den of iniquity, and and oh, there's sharab and there's shabab and all these things, and then I don't really know how to encounter them. So maybe there actually are Helen haters out there. We just don't know it.
I
Um,
it just did leap to mind that of course she was famous pre-internet when it was much harder to see a song without paying to go see the whole movie and getting
this
through
is true.
however much of the movie. So I'm thinking about what was the song in the last year where everyone was just hating on oh my God. I get on this thing and I can't remember names. The wonderful Bulbul and Lila and
Oh, Tripti Dimri song.
right, Chicky
Um,
Dimry song, and everyone was hating on it. As I recall, more for they thought she was bad at it than they thought the song was like disgusting or whatever. But we can all
yeah,
watch that to our heart's content, whether we like it or are mad at it. You couldn't do that with Helen's songs.
right.
So I
Yeah.
think that that's probably a part of it. She's basically retired by the time it was extremely easy to get songs in isolation. I'm sure there must have been a million Helen song compilation VHSs and
Oh yeah.
DVDs, but even then, she's basically retired by the time those happen.
Yeah.
So that's
And
probably
even
part of it.
in like the 70s when she was like at her peak, there were so in India there were only two TV channels, right? There was Doordarshan, which was the national channel, and then there was DD Metro. DD Metro was the more hip of the two. I use the word hip very
Sure.
loosely, mind. Um, but even on the Doordarshan, I mean, it's not like they just showed like films all day long. I mean, it was very rare. And it was kind of like, this is the film they're showing this Sunday. I hope you like it. If you don't, you can switch the television off. But also, no one would switch the television off because people really own like cassette players and things like that. So it was just such a treat, I think, for people to be able to watch that outside of a cinema theater that I don't really think people would waste their time hating on it. And I think the point that you made also about Helen vis-a-vis like Bindu and stuff is so true. I mean, I love Bindu because she's so good when she's being evil. Like I love
Mhm.
evil Bindu, and I love like conniving Bindu, like all those Machiavellian ideas. She you can see she really enjoys it and she has a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So I love that. But
Yeah.
there's an edginess
Yeah.
to Bindu, and Bindu is often like bad.
She's
Like
more dangerous for whatever
she's
reason, right?
dangerous. Helen is almost like she's like too bubbly and fun and
She's
having
not,
a good time.
she's also graceful and
Yes.
slight. Whereas
Mm,
do like
it's
it's kind of
voluptuous.
more voluptuous, right? So there's
Hmm.
also that. Like you're gonna go
Yeah.
after the woman who has more physical form.
Yeah. And then I think Aruna Rani also has that similar vibe that Helen
Yeah.
has, where she's like this really fun, spunky, bubbly, cute person, also has that tiny little body. But I think where they differ is that Aruna Rani did more of those like Banjara outfits and more like Indian
Yeah.
dancing. And then with Helen, they put her more in like flamenco outfits and like, Crazy Horse Paris, like more like
Yeah.
cabaret kind of a thing. But it's the same thing because, again, I haven't heard of people hating on Aruna Irani either. Like people
No,
adore her. So that's great. What about her dancing style do you enjoy? Because it's really a mishmash of a lot of things.
it is. And again, neither of us are dance experts. Batum does more than I do, but neither of us are dancers. So um y- y- how do I want to say this? Like there's a nimbleness, a lightness, the and again, like a spark, like a firefly, like something that doesn't even need to touch the ground. You
Yeah.
know, she's it's like she's flying and
She's like
um
Tinkerbell.
yeah, but like really sassy, fun,
Yeah.
occasionally drunk Tinkerbell
Yeah.
or something, right? So she's such a I know when we've talked about her before, I think we decided that of our ice cream, she was actually an ice cream sundae. So she's a format rather
Mm,
than a flavor. And like there's something
right.
about the format of her, even though she does encompass many different, again, mostly Western dance styles.
Hmm.
There's something about how she is so integral and yet not integrated in other ways. Like she walks this very interesting line. But yeah, dance wise, I just it's the I guess of all the item dancers, I would say to me she's the most energetic. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's true. I don't know if people who know about dance would say that, but to me, yeah, like she's sometimes when I think of Bindu, I think of being a little bit languid. And I'm sure Helen is languid sometimes. I'm sure there's songs where she's like draped over a bar or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think there's even there must be one where she's in a champagne glass. Like is that in Gita Maranam I'm thinking of? Um,
Maybe.
but anyway, I think it's just the energy.
Yeah. I mean, she is very, very energetic. And also the thing about her dancing is that I've never understood what it is because you watch her dances and it's like it seems like such a combination of so many different things, like so many different elements just thrown it like very masala. Like there'll be some elements of flamenco, but then there'll be some elements of what almost looks like line dancing. Then there's a little bit of like some sort of like belly dancing thing happening, like lots of different stuff. And she's so energetic, like you said. Like I was rewatching like, some of her songs on YouTube. And it's like, for example, when you see Mehbooba from Sholay, which is one of my favorites.
Mm.
I mean, she's so light.
Yeah.
Like she's just really fast and just lithe and like a firefly, like you said. And you don't necessarily see that with like a lot of the Indian dance forms, right? Like I'm a
Mhm.
gigantic Vijayantimala fan, and Vijayantimala primarily did Bharatnatyam, like filmy Bharatnatyam in her movies, and then some amounts of Kathak. But like a very integral part of Bharatnatyam and Kathak is knowing when to take a breather. Like
Mm.
the contrast between the fast
Mm.
movements and the speediness versus the softness. I don't know what the
Mm.
word would be in Bharatnatyam, but I know that in Kathak they use a word called tehrav,
Mm.
which means the ability to be still,
Oh,
like
wow.
like encompassing a stillness.
Yeah.
You don't see that stillness with Helen,
No.
and I don't mean that in a bad way. She's
No.
just perpetually in motion, almost
Mhm.
like a cyclone of some sort, you know.
Yeah.
And I also love how in a lot of her choreographed numbers, the camera just seems to be whizzing past with her and just has its eye on her. And there's this constant movement that's going on. And I think that's what makes her songs so like super energetic for us. Like I defy people to be able to watch a Helen dance number and just like sit still. I don't know how you would do that. Like you would at least like, you know, want to like move a little bit, right? And so like and the other thing for me also, like I don't know if this would be true for you, but I feel like I never grew up getting to see any kind of like Western dances, right? Like in
Mhm.
Nigeria, it's not like we had like performers
Right.
coming in from like Spain doing flamenco or anything like that. I certainly did not see the ballet or anything. The first time I saw the ballet was when I was in Chicago,
Yeah.
and I went to see like a production of Swan Lake. So I did not have any exposure whatsoever to any sort of Western
Mhm.
dancing form. And for a lot of Indians, Helen was kind of our first exposure to that. Because even like Hollywood films, like most Indians did grow up watching a lot of the Hollywood films, at least like the classic, like blockbuster type movies with like the big stars, maybe not indie films so much. It's not like Hollywood films regularly have people doing dances unless it's a specific type of movie like Moulin Rouge or Dirty Dancing or Footloose
It's
or
a
whatever,
musical.
or Grease. Yeah, if it's not a musical, you're not getting to see anything. And so I think that was also what was so enjoyable about her, that it was kind of like, oh, you want to watch some like really cool like Bharatanatyam footwork and stuff? Watch Amrapali for the 100th time, Pitu.
Right.
Or watch like you want to see some really good Kathak, like watch like a Madhuri Dixit movie. Oh, but you want to see something like a little bit different and cool and awesome, watch any Helen song. You're gonna see stuff that you just don't have any kind of exposure to, and so you also can't compare it to anything else, right? And I think that's also why she was able to cement her position so well, because the stuff she does, like the more Western stuff she does, I don't think that Arunaran Irani or Kalpana Iyer or Padma Khanna or Padmini or Bindu or any of these people can do. They're not interchangeable with her because they can't pull it off. And
Yeah.
so in some ways she has kind of like a monopoly on that. Like
Mm.
you want to put her in stockings and fishnets and a boa and things like that, and like a blonde wig and crazy things in her hair. I mean, you gotta sign Helen.
She's
So
also white,
mhm,
which I think has to be, even if an unspoken part, a part because she
yeah,
is other.
yeah.
Um, and so in some ways you can imagine maybe that would attract more ire, but in other ways, well, okay, we don't like what she's doing, but she's not
Right.
Indian anyway. So like,
Yeah.
I wonder about that.
Yeah, that could be too. Because she almost always portrayed like Anglo Indians in movies. I think in reality, in Jerry Pinto's book, which I have not read, but I have read excerpts, she says she is a quarter Burmese, half Spanish, and half French. So that would make her like half white for sure, and then half Asian or whatever. Um,
And I read something that said not quite that mix, I think, but yeah, we should hear what if that's what she says, then that's what we
right.
go with, obviously.
Yeah, I think that also had like an element to it for sure. But also she was never really playing anyone's like wife or I mean rarely was she playing. She was usually playing like the gangster's mall, or she
Mm,
was like the girlfriend or the mistress, or like, and so I think she was kind of like allowed to do whatever she wanted in a way,
yeah,
which I think the more like desi vamps were also allowed to do, because again, nobody was marrying Bindu in a movie,
right.
And Aruna Irani would usually have, poor Aruna Irani, she would usually have like these unrequited loves for people and invariably would end up sacrificing herself. And they would not like, reciprocate her feelings either. So I think one of those like unspoken rules of 70s masala was you can have a vamp or an item girl and they can be beautiful and awesome and all of those things, but they're not going to get married and they're not going to be respectable. And as long as you understand that, it's okay to root for them. And you can even like deify them and put them on a pedestal if they do end up sacrificing their life for the hero.
Right.
So as long as they know their limits, Beth, then it's okay.
Yeah, very much.
So tell me what movies you watched.
Well, okay, so this is a thing I was trying to avoid telling you before because I know it'll open up a whole thing. Where do you start with a woman who, at least according to IMDb, has done over 500 movies in her own count? It's double, right?
Yeah.
What?
It's crazy.
So I decided to focus on two things where she actually has a named role with dialogue and she dances.
Yeah.
I've recently rewatched Gumnaam,
I love that movie.
which I love. It's a great, great film. And then just this in the last couple of days, I rewatched Chinatown, which I had also seen but just did not remember at all, despite the fact that it's Dawn. I
Right.
I never hear it brought up when we talk about Dawn, but I'm like, this was first.
Right.
Anyway, so those are the things that I spent my time with for Helen. And I started looking at various posts of like, these are my top 10 favorite Helen songs or whatever. I was just like, my head was spinning. It was
Yeah.
like she was in my head, twirling around.
Yeah.
I couldn't hang on to anything. And probably my most favorite of her songs would be whatever I've seen most recently.
Yeah. All the things.
Unless it's a rare one where I know we've mentioned a film that I watched where uh she's assaulted in her big song
Uh,
on the stage and things like that. But other than that, like whatever I've seen her do most recently is the most dazzling because she is dazzling all the
mm-hmm.
time. So I'm actually really glad that to talk about her as a sort of bigger picture actor as well, because she doesn't have a ton of those roles, but there are some,
Yeah.
and I think she usually does a good job. Um,
Yeah,
so
when you
yeah,
told me you were gonna discuss Gumnaam, I was like, Kitty Kelly, I love Kitty Kelly. And that
yeah,
song she has where she's like, na 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 Kitty Kelly. That's such a bop. You
yeah.
can't listen to that song and not have like a big smile on your face. It's such a classic, like summer. I have an ice lolly in my hand. I'm at the beach. I have sand in my toes. It's just like a fun, happy
Yeah.
little jaunty number. So tell us about Gumnaam. It is the Agatha Christie adaptation, yeah?
Yeah, so if you have not seen it, it is the adaptation of And Then There Were None, which is an amazing novel, one of my favorite of Christie's novels, uh, and really spooky. I think that this film keeps a lot of the spookiness of the original. Note, it is based on the play adaptation, not the novel, so the ending is considerably different than it is in the novel. The novel is more
Okay.
bleak. Um, and I will try to avoid spoilers so that if you have not seen or read, you can still enjoy. And of course, Gumnam is the home of John John Ho, which was in Ghost World and other places in Western media. So it is um, a rightly famous song, I think,
Mm-hmm.
beloved by everyone. Yeah, so Helen is one of the people who is mysteriously brought to an island by who knows who for who knows what reason, and people begin to get bumped off on the island. So they are in a mansion and there's, one by one they begin to disappear because they are murdered. So it's super spooky. And there is an absolutely, in addition to the songs where she is so good, the scene where she begins to think she might be next on the murderer's list. I think she does an amazing job. She's kind of running through a forest and you see beads of sweat on her face because she's so anxious and fearful. And while I don't mean to say, I love the scene where a woman is prey, everybody in this movie is prey, so it's not unique.
Right.
Um, and her the person she spends the most time with in this film, I would say, is Prawn. And what a great combo. Like he plays a kind of sleazy lawyer who drinks too much and they just have a lot of fun together. As scene partners, I think that they are really, really fun.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on her in Gumnam?
It's just such a fun movie. It's like
Yeah.
a really good movie. I have read the Agatha Christie novel ages ago. I did not know that there was a play version, and I did
Yeah.
not know that they deferred. So
Yeah.
I only know the book.
So I had
Um,
seen Gumnam before I had ever seen any version of the Christie. So then when I read the Christie, I was like, oh, this is
you were
way
like, I know
earlier.
this. Yeah, I mean, and I think she adds like a good amount of levity to this movie
Mhm.
because in a lot of like ensemble casts, I think that sometimes some people can just be very sort of disposable, to use the murderer's thinking. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's yet another number, yet another person who got bumped off. Like, who cares? But she is so different from everybody else in this film. She has such a fun role. She has such a fun name. Like, who is called Kitty Kelly? I want to be called Kitty Kelly.
Well,
Um,
there's a very famous but trashy biographer called Kitty Kelly, but
yeah.
sorry, Kitty
And
Kelly, you
she's
go.
just like, her little costumes are so cute, like the little skirts she's wearing and stuff. She brings a certain amount of like levity and fun and bubbliness to a movie that is a very tense film. And I think that's why she is so memorable in that film. Like, I've forgotten what a lot of the people in that movie were. There's Mahmood in it, yes, like he has an important role in it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I remember Mahmood from the movie, and I remember her. I don't remember
Oh,
anybody else. I
interesting.
actually don't remember Pran from this film because I've seen it a
You
long
don't
time ago.
remember Manoj Kumar?
I do not remember Manoj Kumar. How dare I? I must be an anti-national, Beth.
Oh, clearly.
Someone take my OCI away. Manoj Kumar is in this movie. I have absolutely no idea. I must have fast forwarded scenes, whatever. But yeah, so the movie itself does. It's a very good whodunit. I think they've done a good job with like maintaining the tension and the anxiety of who's dead. Also, the parts where everyone sort of starts turning on each other because no one knows whom to trust, and they're all starting to get like visibly paranoid. I think she brings a very different flavor because she's just different. And I think that she was such a brilliant casting in that film, and definitely my most favorite and memorable person from that cast.
Mhm.
The movie I actually saw was Lahu Ke Do Rang,
Yeah.
and I could not stop WhatsApping you. Eventually I was like, okay, you need to stop, save it for the podcast. Because like you, so I'd seen Gumnaam, and I obviously I've seen Dawn and all of that. So I was like, I want to watch a movie of hers that I have never seen. And I discovered that she was actually given the Filmfare Award for Best Actress for Lahu Ke Do Rang. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I had absolutely no idea that she had won a Filmfare Award for acting. But if that is the case, great, I'll watch it. And I discovered it has Vinod Khanna, Shabana Azmi, and Danny Densongpa. I was like, this is going to be a good time. Even if the
Mhm.
movie is absolute rubbish, I'm still going to have a good time. So I was very happy. I also discovered that it is either Mahesh Bhatt's very first film that he made or his very first film that released.
Wow.
Because he did two movies. He did Lahu Ke Do Rang and he did Manzile. And I think Manzile released a little bit ahead of this one, but I think this one is the one he shot first. I'm not sure, but it's like super early in his filmography. And it's such an interesting movie. Have you seen it? I had never even heard of this film, but mostly because I don't really do 70s masala. But okay, so spoiler free synopsis of this movie for our viewers, and I do recommend people watch it. It's on YouTube. Is that the movie starts with it's at the time of World War II when Britain had sent Indian forces, including my grandfather, to fight against the Japanese on the Burma front. So some people were sent to Burma, such as my grandpa, and then other people were sent to like Hong Kong and places like that. But it was basically the Indian army was part of the Allied forces, and they were fighting against the Japanese. So the movie begins with Vinod Khanna, who is a freedom fighter, and he is in Hong Kong, and he is on the run because people are trying to like find the freedom fighters because he's trying to get Indian people in Hong Kong to join Subhash Chandra Bose's Azad Hind Sena and to fight for India instead of like be part of the Allies or whatever. Um, a woman gives him like shelter in her house, and of course he falls in love with her because it is the one and only Helen. I would also love to be given shelter by the one and only Helen at some point in my life. But of course they fall in love because how could you not see this happening? And let me tell you, they look absolutely gorgeous together. First of all, I sent Beth some screen caps of Vinod Khanna shirtless, looking extremely pensive by the window after a night with Helen. And I was just like, isn't this just a beautiful photo? And that there's so many cute, like meet cute, photos of them together. So she plays a girl, a woman whose mother is Indian, but her father is Chinese, or vice versa, whatever. She's half Indian, half Chinese. She's never been to India and she really wants to go. And Vinod Khanna and her get married. And then he tells her that he now needs to head back to India to continue the freedom struggle. And he says, I will call for you. And she's pregnant. And he says, I will, once things are a little bit settled, I'll bring you and the baby home. Said baby grows up to become Danny Denzongpa. Amazing casting. I love it. And unfortunately for us, Vinod Khanna is already married. Shame on you.
Waiting for you to get to that part.
Shame on you. I was so upset when I saw that. I was like, excuse you. So he goes back to India and we meet his wife and child. And I was like, you dirty dog. But anyway.
This is Helen Deserves Better is a
she does.
Everywhere in her work. Like, Helen deserves better.
It is so absolutely. Well, also his first wife also deserves better. It is so nonsense. Having said that, because this is a Mahesh Bhatt movie, and however I feel about the man, I think he's terrible. His films do have very interesting, very mature relationships. He forces you to see all sides of this situation and all of that, which I appreciate. It's never completely black and white in his movies. And so his wife agrees that his wife says that, yes, this person that you fell in love with in Hong Kong and you had, she has your baby or whatever. Yes, I will welcome her into my home when she comes, which I thought was very nice of her as the wronged party. But I appreciated the whole like sisterhood angle of it. And years pass, unfortunately, he dies. And now the second generation has grown up. So Vinod Khanna's lookalike, who is also Vinod Khanna, so he is of the Indian mother, and then Helen's son and Danny Denzongpa, and then they have to come together to avenge their dad, who was basically betrayed by one of his people in the struggle, who was not actually a freedom fighter. He was just out for himself.
And is played by
Ranjit. All the bad people are in this movie. All the baddies are in it. It's quite a cast.
It's A+.
And Shabana Azmi.
And we did talk about this movie a little bit in our Shabana episode, because I brought it for that, because of course I wanted to cover her masala stuff.
Yeah, she looks so exceptional, by the way. Like, they have draped her in these satin saris with a tight fit, and they've put her these silver waistbands on her and these armbands on her. Stunning. It's a very Feroz Khan-esque aesthetic. And I immediately went and checked who the costume designers was. And it's someone called Chela Ram. And I was like, who are you?
Well done, Chela Ram.
Well done, Chela Ram. But I have absolutely no idea who you are. I was like, is this Banu Athaiya's work? It just screams Banu Athaiya. Anyway. So Vinod Khanna and Shabana Azmi have a romance, and then Danny Denzongpa unfortunately does not have a partner, which is very sad because it is Danny Denzongpa and he deserves a gorgeous partner.
Again, Danny Denzongpa deserves better is also a thread of many
But okay, so coming back to Helen, this is a very un-Helen-esque role. So usually we are used to seeing her being all fabulous and happy and showgirly. And in this movie, she's actually very sad, because we get to see happy Helen, who has fallen in love with Vinod Khanna, and she's, she wants to have a home and a hubby and a baby, and all the things are looking up for her. But a vast majority of the film is spent with her being really sad and feeling really betrayed that Vinod Khanna never sent for her to come to India, and she's just been in Hong Kong this whole time because no one ever told her that he had actually died. And so she has no clue. She thinks that he just forgot her or something. And she acts really beautifully in the scene where Vinod Khanna, the young Vinod Khanna, meets her for the first time. It's really amazingly well done, where she sees him and you can see the shock on her face. She's like, is he back? But he looks young and she has aged out, and she has gray in her hair and stuff. And it's kind of who are you? And then when she discovers that he's actually her husband's son from the first wife. It's just the way she expresses. I was really, really impressed because I did not know that Helen had that acting talent in her, because I had only seen her doing fun things in like, Gumnaam, because this role requires her to be tugging at your heartstrings, but not being weepy, which is
Right.
a very difficult thing to do. Even when she's crying, you never feel like she's over the top. You never feel like she's being overly melodramatic. And I was actually really impressed with how restrained and natural and good her acting was. And I was like, wow, this person really has a lot of talent. Like her dialogue delivery, her face modulation, she was exceptional. And I was just kind of like taken aback. And for a second, I was like, hang on for a second. Am I just being biased because I love her so much? Because it's possible. But I don't think I was being biased. I think she really did do a really beautiful job with her role. Now, I did read about this movie, and I found one or two posts on the internet where people thought that her role was kind of like thankless and weepy, and that she just got the Filmfare Award because they wanted to reward her for doing something different. But I actually disagree, because we've seen weepy Ma's all the time. They are a mainstay of 70s cinema. And I think that she portrayed the Ma who is waiting for her lover to come back really, really beautifully. And she really kind of like brought tears to my eyes. I thought she was wonderful. And I think the fact that you start off with this beautiful montage of her in Hong Kong, and they're going to like a Chinese temple, and they're like in a botanic garden, and she's wearing these cute little key pops, and her hair is at like space buns, and she looks so darling. And I was just like, oh, I want good things for you, but I know they're not going to happen.
You
Um,
Helen.
I know. And so that made me very sad. I also have to give a shout out to Mahesh Bhatt. I don't believe I'm doing this, but I want to give a shout out to Mahesh Bhatt that this film is very respectful of Chinese culture.
Ah,
It is very, yeah, it is shockingly respectful. There is no stereotyping. She's wearing really cute Chinese outfits. There is no unnecessary stupid commentary of any kind. They show Vinod Khanna and her going to like Chinese landmarks in Hong Kong. She wears like red because she's his bride and everything, but they're also going to Chinese, like Buddhist temples, presumably. It's very nicely done. And the fact that she is half Indian and half Chinese is not even brought up, which I think was so refreshing.
yeah.
I was not, I was very surprised by all of that, but I would also recommend this movie for that reason. This movie is also very interesting for Shabana Azmi's portrayal, because
Yeah.
she is kind of a badass. She runs her father's Darjeeling tea estate. She also smuggles drugs for her father,
Yeah.
but she also has a drug addicted mother, which reminded me a little bit of, what is that? Jambas, reminded me a little bit of
Oh,
Sridevi and
yeah.
Jambas. But she also like takes care of her mom, but she's also a decent person. And I was like, wow, a movie where the actress has all of these different shades to her, and she's not demonized or villainized for anything, but she's also not portrayed as a saint. How amazing and refreshing for us.
Sure.
So I really liked Shoana's role in it as well. And I loved the scene where, so the young Vinod Khanna actually brings back Helen to India, like brings her to India for the first time, and both the mothers meet and both the sons meet. And I was scared that there was going to be some stupid histrionics, but the Indian mother, the Indian wife, she gets up and she hugs Helen and does her arti, and the film basically ends with the Indian mother, Helen, Vinod Khanna, Danny Denzulpa, and Shabana Azmi all together taking a family photo. And I was
That's
like, this
nice.
is so sweet.
Yeah.
It's very like found family. It's very, we all love each other. Let's just be friends. Let bygones be bygones. Let's not hold on to old grudges. We love you. It was very heartwarming.
Isn't it interesting that she finally gets the Filmfare for Best Supporting Actress, for which she has already been nominated 3 times?
Oh,
She finally gets the award in a film where she is incorporated into an Indian family.
right. But she does state from the outset of the film that she loves the fact that she's half Indian and half
Oh yeah,
Chinese.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
just like this is the best. this is like the most acceptable Helen will ever be.
Right. Well,
It
she's very
really-
respectable
yeah,
in this movie. In fact, if anyone is going into this movie wanting a Helen number, they're not going to get it.
they're not gonna get it.
They're going to get a cute romantic number with
Yeah.
Vinod Khanna, which is not nothing. It is very nice. This is a very photogenic couple, and they
Mhm.
have amazing sizzling chemistry. But if you're looking for a cabaret number, you're not going to get it. And
Can't you believe that
Shabana isn't going to give it either.
those two, their child would grow up to be Danny Denzongpa? You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, attractive, attractive, attractive.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm curious, what were the other movies she was nominated for? I had no
She was
idea.
nominated for Gumnaam. She was nominated for, oh, I just had it in front of me and then I moved it. Gumnaam Shikar, which I spoke about in our Dharmendra episode, and then Elan, which is another good Vinod Khanna film that everyone should watch.
Okay. I'm surprised she wasn't nominated for Dawn or something, like like a supporting actor, because I think she's
Yeah,
amazing in Dawn.
she is.
What was the other movie you watched for this episode?
Chinatown,
Ah,
Chinatown.
yes.
Um, Chinatown falls into the micro genre that I love of people looking for things in Calcutta,
Right.
which I had forgotten. I have to say, this is not my favorite of that
Mm,
micro genre, or of even Shami Kapoor films, or of
mhm.
black and white films, or of Shakti Samanta films. Um, and apologies to our friend Greta Memsab Story, who I believe has a vintage poster from this film hanging in her house, if I recall
Well, we know she
correctly.
loves Shami. She's a
And we
fellow
know she
Shami
loves
lover.
Shami. I found Shami to be too much in both. He plays twins, right? I found both of
Oh,
them to
wow.
be too much. One is a villain, one is a, this film is Dawn.
Right.
So one is a villain and one is a performing artist who is used by the police to impersonate the villain and infiltrate and whatever. And Helen is, of course, the girlfriend of the bad version. She is a
She's the
nightclub
mall.
programmer. But she does have an actual role and everything in this. And I thought I can see why she was not nominated for this. I think she's fine. I don't think she's notable, except in the dancing, where, of course, she's very notable. And this is they're in Chinatown in Calcutta. Um, she's doing a variety of kinds of moves, hybrid stuff and whatever. So there's nothing. This film does have Madan Puri with like makeup on his eyes to make him look quote unquote Chinese.
Oh.
And also Shetty plays a Chinese person, so there's some kind of prosthetic-y stuff happening here. So this is very outdated and offensive. I
Is
would,
this like Kader Khan with his blonde wigs where they give him blue lenses and they're like, he's white? And I'm like, is he though? Okay.
well, he's there. They're not like doing something to the shape of his face, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a black and white film, thank goodness. So there's probably some stuff you don't see, which might be even more egregious in color. I don't know. But yeah, so I was glad I had recently seen Gumnam again as well, because this is a Helen role, but it's not, I would say this one's not notable compared to the things, especially the one you're talking about. Uh,
Mm.
but where I'm glad also I saw her in Shikar quite recently, where she is also very good, I think. So, um, I don't have a whole lot I want to say about Helen in this film, actually.
Okay.
Uh, I wouldn't say watch it for her. You can watch her songs, obviously, on YouTube
Right.
easily enough. The songs in this movie are pretty fun. The other main woman is Shakila, who is someone I have no thoughts
Mm.
about whatsoever. Um, she's fine.
Yeah.
This is a
What's
Shami show, and if you're finding him to be a bit much, you will maybe find it a bit of a slog. I had to keep pausing and like going to do
yeah.
something else and coming back. I was like, oh, I feel very overwhelmed by this. And then I started kind of drifting off to think like, I know when we did our Kapoor series, I believe that we ranked them as actors at one
Oh
point.
yeah.
And I don't remember where I put Shami, but I'm like, man, this film makes me want to knock him down a level from where I had
Right.
him. But then I was thinking about, is Shami an actor or is he a star? Is
He's a
he
star.
both? All these things, which is not to knock stars necessarily or automatically. But anyway, so I had a lot of thoughts while watching this movie, but mostly not about Helen, who I thought was totally fine,
Right.
but
I
not
mean, I
the showcase.
love Shami Kapoor, but the idea of twin Shamis is a lot, even for me.
And when he's the good Shummy pretending to be the bad Shummy, it seems like he's really overdoing that guy's mannerisms. So you're like,
Mm.
oh, there are a few good scenes where especially as the bad twin, where he is kind of scoffing at people who are trying to say, like their mother appears, comes to visit him to like see, oh my God, my twin son who was stolen away by bad people when he was a child, like here he is
As
grown up.
happens
And he, of course, is
regularly.
like, get out of here, old lady. I don't believe you. And he's pretty good at like the horrible, dismissive, mean guy. So he has a few good moments for sure, but it's too much. It was too much.
I
Rare
love
that I
the
say that,
fact
but
that in Bollywood movies where Ma is basically second, I mean, she's above God, honestly. There's Ma and then there's God. I love that in this movie, Shami Kapoor basically says to his Ma, get out of here, old woman.
interestingly, and I don't think this is a spoiler, when Good Shami is like hired by the police to do this, he tells his mother everything right away that he's like, I'm going off to the city, or this is my, he goes to the city and then they find him. And of course, they're like, oh, you should impersonate this guy.
Hmm.
We happen to have video footage of him that you can study to learn his ways.
Yeah.
Um, and so he goes home and he tells home is either Darjeeling or Shimla, I forget which.
Of
Tells
course.
tells his mother, and I was like, interesting that you're on a covert police mission and you go and tell your mother right away about everything. And in a way, you're glad because you're like, well, if something happens to him, at least she'll know. But then that gives her an excuse to say, oh, I think that this Mike is actually your twin. Long ago, this happened. Do you
Right.
remember? And whatever, whatever. So
Right.
I kind of like that he goes into it knowing this guy is very likely his actual blood
Right.
brother. I think that's a nice. I enjoy a convenient coincidence as much as the next
Mm.
Hollywood fan, but it is interesting to play out the like, black sheep brother, and it's not his
Yeah.
fault he's a black sheep, although obviously we see that a lot that the villains take a child and perverish
Yeah.
example.
Right.
Um, so yeah, Chinatown is,
Wow.
it's got some fun style in it. The music is good. Eh,
I might watch it actually because the
yeah.
idea of Shami as like police informant slash duplicate is kind of astounding
Also,
to me.
it's also fun that I think that there's a song where we are supposed, what I took away from it is that yes, he's undercover as this villain, but because he is a musician, you cannot stop him from jumping into a song. And nobody says, Mike, where'd you learn to dance like that or whatever? But like, you're just like, child, watch your cover.
The spirit moved him, Beth. I don't know
The
what to
spirit
tell
moved
you.
him. Yep.
As a fellow showgirl, you should know this. I'm very disappointed right
It,
now.
when you think about Shami and Helen, I don't have at the ready a list of the songs they did together, but obviously, Oh Hasina Zulfanwali
Yes,
has to be number one
has to be number
thing because
one.
it's one of the
So
number one.
good.
If you ask me
Yeah,
just with no prep, your number one Helen song, I might well say that.
yeah,
So yeah, it's fun to see them together and it's kind of fun to see them do something a little bit different, but it's also not great. Yeah, it's not great. I'm talking a lot about this movie that I didn't for her that I didn't find that good, but you know, there aren't that many movies that I could find a list of where she actually has a role beyond
yeah.
song. And even if she's named in a song, she often maybe she has a sentence or two after she comes off stage and someone's waiting in her dressing room or whatever. But like,
Mm,
so there's a limited amount of these, especially that you can find easily, and in my case, have subtitles. So
yeah.
it was good to
So
revisit.
I was actually watching her interview with Arbaz Khan on he has like this talk show that you can find on YouTube. It's called The Invincibles, which I think is a terrible title, but whatever. And he's not really a very good interviewer, but
I
fine.
feel like
Um,
he has been vinced a lot in his career, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
Is
I mean, he's there and it's fine. I mean, he's not like catty and awful and horrible
That's
like
good.
Karan Johar or anything, but he's also like, I'm like, shut up. No one wants to hear what you have to say. Ask a
Not
question and
really.
then shut up, let them talk. But so she appeared on his show and I watched it. It's only like a half an hour thing, and I can put it in the caption. And here's the thing with Helen, it's like even I don't think she's like super comfortable or fluent speaking in Hindi. So a lot of
Mhm.
times in interviews, even if she's asked a question in Hindi, she'll say a little bit of Hindi, but her interviews are almost primarily like 90% English. So you'll be able to like watch the whole interview, no problem. So in that, he actually asks her how she got her start. So first off, she talks about how they were in Burma and the Japanese were bombing Burma, obviously. And so her mom, it sounds like her mom was a single mother. So her
Yes,
mom had two
her
children.
husband died. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
then her
Helen and
second
her
husband
brother.
died too.
Okay. And the mother was pregnant, actually, and they were trying to flee Burma. So they were getting on the last flight out of Burma to fly to India, but the Japanese bombed the airport or the plane, so they couldn't get on it. And so they had to walk. And a lot of Burmese people that they knew basically trekked all the way from Burma to India. And she said almost 350 families. So maybe it was like their entire town or something.
Wow.
And it took them 9 months to get to India. And due to how hazardous the journey was and the fact that an actual world war was happening, her mother lost the baby as well. And they lived in various cities in India. And then eventually they settled in Mumbai, and they knew Cuckoo, who was one of the actresses of that time. Helen's mom became friends with Cuckoo. And then through Cuckoo, they got Helen like a few dancing roles and stuff like that. And so she talked about how she got her start with like dancing and things. And she's never actually formally learned dancing. The only
It boggles the mind.
Yeah.
It truly
The
boggles.
only dance she formally learned was she learned Manipuri when she was in Mumbai, because there was a lady in their locality that was teaching Manipuri. So that's the only thing she's learned. And then she started acting. And Arbaz Khan asked her, like, you became like a dancer and stuff, but did you ever have aspirations of being an actress? And she said, not really. She was like, I didn't really have too many ambitions, first of all. I was just happy to get whatever I could, because it does sound like she was the breadwinner for the family. And so she was like, if I was getting dance roles and extra roles, I was just happy to take them. I didn't really have any aspirations of being like a heroine or something. I just didn't say no to projects. And then she also talked about how she's like a little bit conservative and shy, and she was not like super 100% a fan of the cabaret outfits she would wear. So she came up with the idea of buying stockings and having the tailors sew them into the costumes, because she said, even though technically I looked like I was not fully covered, in my mind I thought to myself, I am in fact fully covered. And so she said that's how she felt. Okay.
But also that kind of mesh work means that it's less likely that something's going to like slip down,
Right.
fall off, whatever. So again, and that I'm sure makes you more confident, and then you can perform better. So that totally makes, like ice skaters and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she started doing that, she said, and then she talked about how she was getting roles and stuff. And then she does talk about how she met Salim Khan. So he was an aspiring actor, which is something I didn't know. I just thought he was a writer, but he was
you see him in films here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, and she mentions when she first met him, and apparently, so she would come on set, she would do her thing and leave. She didn't really talk to too many people. It sounds like she's kind of like introverted and shy. And apparently Salim Khan asked someone on set where he was like, does she like not talk to anybody at all? And someone said to him, yeah, she basically just like acts like everybody's furniture. And he was like, oh, okay. And then they started like talking and stuff. And she said they first started out as friends, and then they fell in love. And Urbaz Khan like openly asked her about how they started dating. And she was like, I never wanted to be the other woman. I never wanted to break up his family. And she talks at one point about how when she would be walking past their building, like on her way to her building, she would duck down because she didn't want to risk Salim Khan's wife, Salma, seeing her from the balcony or something.
Oh, wow.
So it was very like cloak and dagger stuff. It was very like secretive. And eventually they did get married. And she spoke quite openly about how she knows that probably it was very hurtful to the first wife. It was very hurtful to the children. No one really wanted to accept her, which she was very aware and cognizant of. But she was like, but we got married, and eventually I was accepted into the family, and I'm part of the family. And they also talked about how whenever Arbaz or Salman's sister, when his sister got married, on the invitation card, it said the family of Salim Khan, Salma Khan, and Helen Khan and children invite you. So she talked about how she spent a lot of time like saying really, really nice things about what a great human Salim Khan is. I was like, girl, he's a cheater. I'm not sure I would be calling him a great human, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, that's an interesting spin to put on things. She also kind of like closed out by saying that she wishes people wouldn't be too judgmental, and that they would just kind of understand that, just live and let live, which also I was like, okay, I mean, you're like a senior, I'm not gonna fight you, but what?
I'm like, yes, and also that's very handy for you.
Yeah, that's very convenient, isn't it?
You're not wrong,
So
but also
yeah. Um, I'm sure it was very, very controversial when it happened. But I don't know. I think the only person that comes out smelling like roses in this whole arrangement is probably Salma Khan, which is Salim Khan's wife, because she kind of like, almost like this movie that I just saw, Lahu Ke Do Rang. She kind of was like, fine, I forgive you. It's okay. We're all going to be one big, giant, happy family and kumbaya together, I guess. She's the only one that comes out looking good, I would say. But even with her, it's kind of like, this was an era and this was a generation where women were not financially independent. There was no such concept as like alimony and child support. Even if you were to put your foot down and tell your husband, I'm not going to let you marry Helen or whoever for that matter, what were you going to do? He was going to marry her either way. He's either going to divorce you and marry her, or like you're just going to have to accept her. So even with that, I don't know how much of it, like all of these like shady men like Dharmendra with the whole Hema Malini thing, and then Salim, and then Javed Akhtar with the whole like Hani Rani and Shivana Azmi thing. It's all very, very shady, Beth. Um, but yeah, so that was interesting. But I'm happy for her and I'm happy for them that they figured out something that works for them, because that's better than having a life where everybody hates each other and there's a lot of bitterness and rancor. So at least it's they figured out what works for them. And listen, we're in 2025. I live in California. I have met many people who are like polyamorous or whatever, and so I'm like, whatever floats your boat. Doesn't work for me, but
well,
you do you.
informed consent is great.
Yeah.
Salma Khan had informed consent
Yeah.
in this situation. So,
Yeah. So I think that's kind of like the gist of that interview. And she talked about how she could see that sort of the sun was setting on her career. She talked about how she kept getting dance roles until she was about 42 years old, which when I heard that sounded a little bit shocking to me, because especially given what she brought to films, which is she was the vamp. And so therefore she was celebrated for her beauty, her figure, and her dancing, and basically being like a sex kitten. The fact that she continued to get dance roles until about 42 is quite shocking to me. I thought she would have potentially retired by like
who
30.
started so young, right? Like again, not as young
Yeah.
as the women we've talked about on this, but when you I went to go see if I could find her in what is generally listed as her first film, and I could not spot her, but she's just like dancer, and
Mm.
I don't think she's highlighted at all. And don't ask me the name of that film. I've already forgotten what it was, but she's a baby. I mean, even in Chinatown, she looks pretty young, and that's by no means her first film. So
Yeah. Um, and then on a lighter note, he was asking her about like dancing and stuff, and he asked her who her favorite dance partner was. And
yeah.
for instance, she said Shami Kapoor. And then she talked about how they had all of these like dance masters. So she said they were called dance masters at the time. We called them Master G. Now, of course, they're all called choreographers. And she said they would have like rehearsals for hours, for days. She said usually I would, rehearse from like 6:30 to 8:30 or 6:30 to 8, and we would do rehearsals for weeks. And guess what? Shami Kapoor did not do rehearsals. I was like, of course, he's a Kapoor.
By watching that is true.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, tell me another.
I know. I was like, you will not be shocked to hear this at all, man. I know I wasn't. She
I
basically was like,
resentment of Shami Kapoor is that I have. I resent him in doing this.
I adore him too much to be able to present him, but he definitely typifies that very like I am a Kapoor. He very much has that energy, right? It's very to the manner born.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she talked about how he never did any rehearsals and he would just show up and then they would dance together. And she actually loved dancing with him. She said it was a lot of fun and they had like a really good like camaraderie and they enjoyed themselves a lot. So she talked about that. And then he asked her who her favorite dancer was and she said Vijanti Mala. And I was like, yes, one queen recognizing the other. And she talked about how much fun it was to dance with Vijanti Mala. And of course, we have the movie Prince that has that
I mean,
amazing dance off.
the top two women paired dance numbers,
Yeah.
all of Indian cinema, like top five.
Yeah.
would say like, I know some of you are going to name Devdas, but for my money, this
Yeah.
is better.
Yeah. Yeah, so she talked about that, and then she talked about how you have like she talked about how initially she got all of those dance roles because she was the only one who was doing what that was required. But she spoke about how as heroines started dressing scantily and as heroines started doing similar numbers and it became acceptable for them to do so, she could quickly see that she was stopping, like she was not going to get those same opportunities. And in fact, when she said that, I was thinking of An Evening in Paris
Yeah.
because Sharmila Tagore caused quite a stir by doing those very like cabaret, like Moulin Rouge and Crazy Horse kind of numbers that she did. And she also wore those very skimpy cabaret outfits in it. And so I can see why Helen knew that her days were numbered.
When I look at
Um,
when I look at IMDb, and again, that's not going to be comprehensive, it sounds like, but in 1982, she had like 12 movies, and in 1983, she has four. So, um,
yeah.
again, when are things filmed versus when are they released and whatever. But that would track to me to see like the ripple effect of Parveen and Zinat in particular,
Mm.
a little bit Nuti Singh and Reka, right? Like you can imagine that even if so some of these films have if they have a couple years delay of filming versus release, like yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, just these very glam ladies.
Mm.
Like,
And
why do you?
he gets married in 1981 to Salim Khan, right?
Right.
So I suspect has an effect. Although she was married before.
Oh,
Um,
was she?
yeah, she was married to a producer, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like you can see like when they're gonna start giving Parveen things like Javani Janeman, Haseen Dilruba, and she's wearing that sequin jumpsuit that once upon a time Helen would have worn. I mean, although these people could not dance. Like I love Zenith, I love Parveen, but they were not dancers.
I mean, gosh, that would it wouldn't have worked in the same way character-wise, but wouldn't you love to see Helen do that? Also, I've never seen Helen in, have I ever seen Helen in pants?
I'm sure she wore some.
Really? And surely she plays like a Christian fisherwoman, fisher family like daughter who dances on the beach or something in like cut off jeans, but I can't picture Helen in pants. If you've seen Helen in trousers of any kind, please put it in the comments because my brain is broken at this moment by this very thought.
I've seen her in Chinese kipaos, but I can't remember pants.
And leotards and leggings, but like trousers or jeans or slacks or pants, whatever you want to call them. I mean, I've even seen her in shorts. I don't know if I've even seen her in shorts. Fascinating.
Does she not wear shorts at any point in Gumnaam? I know she wears those short flippy
I
skirts.
don't think so. I think she has flippy skirts.
Okay.
I could be wrong though. I would love to be wrong about this. And obviously, even the short list of 530-ish films that IMDb has, I've not even seen 20%. So
Right.
a lot to see. I
Um,
discovered, much to my amusement in Googling around, that she is even in a Bengali film.
yeah, she's also done some Southern films, apparently. I have no idea what they are.
Surprised me given the expertise and love of musical numbers. Whereas
Mm.
Bengali films don't really do cabaret numbers very often or dance numbers at all. But the fact that she's in one in an Uttam Kumar film, I was like, okay, good. I like that for your film.
Yeah. So Arbaz Khan actually asked her, like, when you saw that heroines were starting to do the kind of roles that you were, or at least they were doing the dance numbers that you were doing, what did you do to like, and she spoke about how she started doing stage shows. So she started doing stage shows like dance shows internationally, but also in India. And she was like, God has been very kind to me. I have never really lacked for money. I've never had a problem like
Good.
bringing home earnings.
That also makes it sound like no one was mismanaging her money, no one was stealing
Mm.
her and things like that, which is also amazing and excellent and should be true for all performers.
Yeah. She does make some reference to like some court cases that she had, that some sort of litigation, but she didn't really go into it. So I don't know what that was about. But maybe that had something to do with people stealing her money. I don't really know. So it's not like a super like in-depth interview. And Arbaz Khan, I think a lot of it has to do with her more private nature because
Yeah.
she does refer to it because he said to her a lot of film performers, like whatever they like, biopics made on them. They want to write their autobiography. They want to talk about themselves, or, you don't seem to. And he spoke about how hard it was just to get her on his show.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's like nepotism 101 right there, right? And she literally said, I'm a very private individual.
When we make our new snake movie, she can also be a godmother snake.
Yeah, she can be like the deity.
Yeah.
Yeah. She can be the head deity,
Maybe
and
they
then her.
have twin thrones and they sit together over the
Yes.
snake domain and they train like Rani, Mahaduri, Ashwarya, and they can train the other.
That is amazing. But Rekha should have like a guest consultant role, though.
Yeah.
Rekha is like the headmistress of like a different Nagin school from
Mm.
like Nepal or something, from like a neighboring country. And she occasionally comes and teaches them things that Helen and Vajantimala won't teach them, such as, for example, how to feed men to crocodiles. Important skills to learn.
Yeah.
And then she like sachets away, slithers away to wherever the jungle she came from.
I don't even mind if in this movie Reika is just a human, just a regular human teaching things like how to survive men.
Because even when she's just a regular human, she's still magical enough, right? Why are all these women so amazing? I love them.
I don't know, this movie is going to be so good that we are never going to get to make.
It's too fabulous for this world, Beth. People are not ready. I also love that, like, off screen, she has such a close friendship with Vahida Rahman and Asha Parekh. It's like so darling. They were also really close friends with Nanda and Shami, but both of those two passed away. So their friend circle has gone from like 5 to 3. But they travel together. They go on cruises together. It's amazing. And it's like, I love Vahida. And so on the Couple Sharma show, they have Vahida, Asha Parekh, and Helen. All three of them came together at the same time. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But they're very close. Apparently, they do lunches and dinners super often and things. And I love to see them like enjoying their best life. Can you imagine just being like a fly on the wall?
Amazing.
It would be
And
so amazing.
if Helen is not comfortable in Hindi, probably that means they're speaking English, which means I could understand why.
They probably are speaking in English the entire time. We'll just gate crash their party. We'll have to. Okay, did you have any lasting thoughts? What are your favorite Helen numbers? I know you love Oh
Yeah,
Hasina's Zulfawali.
feel like we have to talk about that, but I genuinely don't know where to start because they're all so good. Like Pia 2 is amazing. Mehbooba is amazing. Like I'm not saying anything that's out of the box here because genuinely they're all spectacular. And because she is always so good, you can kind of pick which one musically you enjoy the most, or
Right.
narratively you enjoy the most, or costume wise you enjoy the most, or whatever, right? So, like, that crazy thing she's in Aprad with Feroz Khan. I don't remember the name of that song or anything, but I remember the absolutely insane, like, orange and black braided headwear thing that she's got, and then he imagines Mumtaz in a very similar outfit. I don't know the name of that song. I'm not even sure I would recognize it musically if I heard it, but like the visuals of that are
Yeah.
imprinted. I am pretty sure there's at least one song where I've seen her in fishnet tights that have gems dangling off of them. Now I'm
Oh,
pretty sure I've seen Prema Narayan in that too, and Bella Bose maybe. Like, love all these women. All these women are amazing, but
yeah.
you know, I don't. I can't answer the question. I really can't. And I did try yesterday. I started looking at my list of films and I was like, forget it. It's just hopeless.
It's just hard. It's all awesome.
Yeah,
I will say I especially love her number from Dawn. I love Ye Mera Dil.
of course.
I think mostly because, like, okay, so in all of her songs that we mentioned, in all of her dances, obviously the dancing is supreme, it's the best. But I like knowing the backstory of Ye Mera Dil, and I know how she's been conniving in it, which is not really a thing she tends to do. It's more of a Bindu thing. I also like those very like venomous looks she's giving him, for lack of a better word, like with her eyes, the thing she's, and like her contact lenses, and also that outfit she wears in it is so racy, like the beige outfit with the cutouts and the red. It's amazing. Like, she's phenomenal in that. And I love how Amitabh Bachchan is really trying to like resist her, because I was like, sir, this endeavor is futile. I'm a heterosexual woman and I cannot resist Helen. How are you going to survive this? um So I love that song in Dawn. I also really love her in the Fisherwoman Koi song that she has, which is Mungra Mungra, because it's one of the few songs that you get to see her in like an Indian outfit, and she's wearing this teeny tiny checkered choli with like a little bow knot in the front, and she has like a big bindi, and she has like flowers in her hair, and she's just so darling in that also. And I think especially these two songs are coming to mind for me because Bebo tried to do the Dawn song and she did a really bad job. And then Katrina Kaif also did Mungra and also did a very bad job. So I was like, please, please do not dare to touch anything Helen has done. You will fail.
But can't you, like, if I could dance even a little, of course I would want to try to do Helen songs.
But not on screen though, because people are going to hate it.
It's true. Just
dance in your bedroom.
What's good is having a sunken living room that seats 40 people if you can't have your own Helen night. That's true.
Yeah. You know what we should do? What's that?
Do the dance version of karaoke and just at home.
That would be amazing. You know what we should do? We should have like a little cabaret party, and we'll invite all of our filmy friends. Luncharoni, of course, will be chief guest, and we'll all have our little boas, and we'll just dance to like Helen songs. We'll like project Helen.
Be one of the guys, or it could be a girl, whatever. Sometimes you get the people in the background who are quote unquote strumming the guitar, but they're kind of like there's a lot of this in Chinatown. Like I want to do that because that's the end of my skills.
So Joey can do that. We'll invite Sujo and he'll do like a good air guitar for us.
I did not study piano for 10 years in order to not play the piano fakely, grandly on screen. So I can.
But if you're going to play the piano, you have to do it Shami Kapoor style where you're really bashing that piano in.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like you have to take all your anger out on the piano.
But then also dance, and then I'll like one hand behind my back. That kind of thing.
That'd be amazing.
Helen is dancing on the piano.
This party would be so amazing. We should sell tickets for it.
We should.
Even if we sold like $10 tickets, we would be so rich in so short a period of time.
Raise people's expectations.
I love how we always have these like grand dreams that they never come to fruition, but they make us happy when we discuss them.
It's probably best that we are, like a 20-hour drive apart in the United States.
And Lunchy's in Brooklyn.
Right. We got all the coasts here represented, and we never the twain shall meet.
Exactly. Okay, well, I think that concludes this episode, if in fact we can conclude a Helen episode. Listeners, viewers, please tell us why you love Helen. And if you don't love Helen, I don't know what you're doing on this podcast. This is a pro Helen podcast.
Genuinely, if you are sort of like, I like her okay, I would be interested in that opinion because I don't understand not loving her. But I would love to know.
Yeah. And then tell us what your favorite Helen songs or dances are, especially if you know a song or dance that she did that is not spoken about as often enough. And you think like that, like there's
literally hundreds.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. There's a Kathak number she did in Ganga Jamna, actually, that no one talks about.
What if someone has made a giant YouTube playlist of all of Helen's songs?
It would break YouTube, first of all.
I've never looked for this, and I want to. Like, I have my Mondo Filmi disco playlist that has like 80 songs in it, but that's not a patch on Helen.
We should make a public playlist that Filmi Ladies listeners and viewers can listen to, like a Helen playlist that we can put all of our Helen songs that we find on YouTube into it.
That's a big project.
Yeah. In these dire times when people are looking for one little ray of hope, we can give them not only hope, but like sequins and fishnet and all of the things, right? It will be our good deed for the day. Well, thank you for watching this episode. May the great Helen bless you, and I hope you have a sparkly and wonderful day. And if you have a boa, please twirl it for us. And we will see you next week on another episode on Showgirls, starring Beth and Pitu. Bye.